Here's how to actually make $20,000 or more as a real estate agent with a very simple process. So most agents right now are playing the game of survival, not actually scaling and not having consistency in their business or in their life. And the goal of this video isn't to make you feel good or give you motivation. It's actually to literally give you the exact blueprint you need step by step to actually get to $20,000 a month. And I'm going to show you exactly how it's very, very feasible for any agent in any market, whether you're brand new or obviously been in the game for 10 years. Very simple, because most agents have no idea how simple the math is behind $20,000 a month. It's not about literally grinding harder, spending more hours, or just wasting time. It's literally about focusing on three levers that matter the most when it comes to actually getting listings. And it's a lead flow, it's conversion, and it's pipeline velocity. I'm going to break all these down in more detail because if you can master all three of those, $20,000 a month is literally going to become your baseline. So it's not going to become a random peak that you hit. You have a random one-off month where you hit $20,000 a month and all of a sudden you go back to $8,000 or $10,000 a month, or maybe even way less than that. You've never even hit a $20,000 a month. I want this to be consistent for you, not just hit it once. And so from that, there's a very simple math behind why you can actually hit $20,000 a month, because it's not just for top producers. I'm going to break it down on the math level so you can actually understand how simple it is for you to actually hit these numbers. So obviously the average listing commission is about $7,000 to $10,000 across US and Canada markets. That's the agents in the markets I end up helping is in both of those countries. Very simple. And again, that's kind of just breaking down the math on a 2.5% commission on a $250,000 home. If you go to any kind of market across the US and Canada, you're going to be able to hit these numbers. And again, these are actually even slightly higher than that. And most actual, basically agents are going to be in areas where that's actually a lot higher. So obviously just kind of tweak these numbers to your area and you can see how much you're obviously going to be making. But from that, you only need to get 2 to 3 listings every single month, or basically closings every single month, to actually clear that $20,000 a month. So that's typically about 3 signed listings every single month, which means, very simple, here's the shocker, it's 9 to 12 listing appointments every single month. Super simple, which literally breaks down to 2 to 3 appointments per week. So if I'm talking to you right now and you say, hey, I want to make you $20,000. Do you want to make $20,000? You're like, okay, that's a lot of money. I haven't hit it before, or I haven't been consistent with it. And I tell you it's 2 to 3 appointments a week. Can you find a way to get 2 to 3 appointments a week? Probably. Every single agent, again, across the US or Canada, should be able to get 2 to 3 appointments a week. Very simple. Either grinding that out with a shit ton of hours or with a very, very simple system. Obviously, I'm going to show you the very simple system to that aspect. But again, regardless of which kind of market you're in, should be very simple. And again, this is way more doable than most agents think. And that's why I want to start with this first before going over the actual blueprint, because the difference is literally not your talent. It's literally just your systems. And that's what we're going to cover right now. So there's actually a 3-part structure to get to $20,000 a month consistently. And this is what it is. So we need to get high intent seller leads. That way we don't waste time with prospects who have really no intention, or probably have no intention of ever wanting to sell within a 12-month or less period of time. That's number one. And we can do that by pulling data from the MLS for sale by owners, withdrawn listings, expired listings, things of that nature, to again have high intent seller leads. And then from that, we can actually even go through and scrape property records, or basically even invest in like a lead data tool like Vulcan 7, Property Radar, or something along those lines, to again just staff us with more and more and more leads that we can be contacting. And from that, what we need to do, which this is going to separate your lead generation from a top producer from an average agent, it's literally by identifying patterns. We need to know who's not selling and why they're not selling. If we can master that, when we can basically identify that, it's very, very simple from there to find those patterns, pick up on them, and focus on those leads that identify with all those characteristics and only be contacting them. And once we do that, we're saving time, but getting more listings and making more money. Very simple. And so some of the main filters I want you to do, which again, filters are massive when it comes to lead generation as an agent, because otherwise that's when you end up spending 8, 10, 12 hours a day as an agent trying to get deals. You feel like all your leads are unqualified and you can't basically just kind of breathe at all because you're just grinding yourself to death. And that's the reason why, is because you don't have filters. The more filters you have, the higher lead quality you're going to have. So from that, we need to be basically filtering all these based on how many days they've been on the market, and if it sold or if it didn't sell, and obviously the reasons why it didn't sell. That's when I said identifying patterns. We need to be looking at these patterns and identifying why these properties are not selling. And then from there, we can actually even go into for sale by owners that are sitting for 30 days or more. These are very, very easy. And then from that as well, we can actually go to out of town owners, or basically absentee owners, and focusing on those as well, because there's also a lot of high demand for those properties as well to be sold, because it's costing them money and they're not even living there. So it's very, very simple. So from that, number 2 is we need to book in appointments using discovery-based cold outreach. So very simple for this as well is you need to use a sales framework to actually turn these basically calls or basically however you're going to be contacting the people into appointments consistently. Now, on my channel, I have other videos actually going over sales and the frameworks we use for the agents that I help. But obviously, I don't want to just tell you just to use mine. If you have one that you really, really like, focus on using that, completely fine. And then from that, what you need to be doing is tracking your contacts. Because if you can track your contacts, you can see how many conversations you're having. And the only way you're going to get listings is by having conversations. If you don't have conversations, you will not get appointments daily. Very simple. Again, I told you this is a very simple blueprint, very simple framework to actually implement because your entire goal is just to get 3 appointments a week from your outbound activity. If you're not getting that, something is wrong with your sales framework or you're not tracking your stuff effectively. It's one of the two. Most people try to blame the leads as their stuff. If you're filtering it like I said you are, leads will never be your problem ever again. Okay, it's gonna be your messaging for 90% of agents. If they're struggling at the spot, it's gonna be your messaging. And then from that, what you want to do is actually compress your pipeline. So basically, we want to do actually weekly pipeline reviews. So it's kind of funny, right? When it comes to real estate agents, we don't like to review our stuff. We don't like to really hone in on how we can get better a lot of times. If you look at athletes, the top athletes in the world, basketball, football, soccer, like whatever it is, they're always looking at game footage of themselves, game footage of the team they're playing next week, game footage of the last game, whatever it is, to see what mistakes they were making, what things they did well, so that way they can reduce the mistakes that they were having and increase the amount of basically good things that they were doing in the previous game or the previous event. But yet when it comes to agents, we don't like to review our sales frameworks. We don't like to sit down if we're cold calling and film ourselves cold calling and hear back how our tonality sounds, hear how many times we're stuttering, hear how many times we get this objection and absolutely freeze up and don't know what to say back to it. So if you're reviewing your stuff and you're reviewing your pipeline to make sure obviously the filters are there, so you're actually contacting the right people, but you're also reviewing yourself, you're gonna do a lot better than a lot of agents. Tell you that right out the gate. And from that as well, you want to be following up every 3 days if a prospect has not listed yet. So after a 3-day period, before that, you actually don't want to be trying to sell too much. And what I mean by selling is you're not trying to ask them to sell their property yet or to work with you yet. Just to have a conversation, see their level of intent. And then from that, if they have a high level of intent of wanting to sell, then you can obviously just set up a quick listing appointment, 15, 30-minute conversation, just to see if there actually is a high level of intent there and if they actually want to work with you. But after the 3-day period, somebody's not responding to you, they're ghosting you, whatever it is, you can be a little bit more direct. That's when you can start saying things like, hey, are you still looking to sell? Hey, I saw your property, went off the market. Did you still want to work with that agent? Do you want to work with me? Like you can start being more direct with it because they're already not having conversations with you already. And again, if we go back up to here, conversations are going to equal your appointments. So if we're not having conversations, we're not going to get appointments. So after 3 days of follow-up, we want to be a little bit more aggressive with our follow-up. And basically when I say aggressive, I just mean with the messaging that we're actually having from it. Super simple, because we want to create urgency through education. So we can actually even show them market trends or even other case studies or things like that we've done to actually help people sell their property in their market specifically. Super simple, because if you want more deals, you just need to shorten the time between your contacts and when you're actually getting a decision made from that contact. And the only way we can do that, again, is if they're not responding to you, is by doing very good follow-up. Super simple. And so again, here's actually a daily schedule to actually kind of walk through the entire process. Obviously, people are all different parts of life. Some people have kids, some people don't have kids, some people are married, some people don't. Some people, are more of a morning person, some people are night owls, whatever it is. Tailor this to you. This isn't a golden rule that you have to do. I'm just kind of breaking it down on a kind of like an hour basis. So from there, obviously, you want to wake up around 7 a.m. or slightly before that, and you want to start prepping for the day. And really what I want you to do is around 8 a.m. and start practicing your scripts and really getting into a good mindset. The reason I say that is, Mike, as woo-woo as mindset plays a big deal because you're going to get rejection a lot as a real estate agent. You're going to, whether you're door knocking, whether you're cold calling, whether you're cold emailing, sending mailers, whatever it is, you're going to get a lot of rejection. So if you can't have a bulletproof mindset to move past that and keep going forward that day, not going to get really that many deals because the first time somebody says no or tells you to shut up or whatever it is, it's going to get in your head. It's going to affect you. You're not going to want to keep doing it. You're not going to get deals. So you got to have a very, very good mindset. And again, do that game footage. Be reviewing it from the day before. Start getting into that tonality. Start calling up even yourself essentially on that end, doing like a mock call with yourself or one of your friends or another agent, your brokerage, whatever it is, to try to get in that good mind space. Try to just really be effective with your time for the day. And then from that, you want to spend about 2 or 3 hours actually calling new leads or whatever actually outreach method you want to use. I always recommend cold calling. Super simple. I could sit at home in your boxers if you want to, whatever it is, make calls, get deals. Super simple. So I always recommend that. And again, you want to do minimum 60 dials every single day. If you're not hitting those metrics, doesn't really matter. Like, you're not really going to be growing as an agent, especially early on. And if you're struggling to get deals right now and you can't commit to doing 60 dials a day, Monday through Friday, you don't deserve to get more deals. Super simple. And then from that in the afternoon, 12 to 2 p.m., do some follow-up, do some lead nurture, sending them some resources, things of that nature. And then from that 2 to 4 p.m. is actually, your appointment times and your admin tasks or anything else you want to do. But we just need to make sure that we're actually doing this section on a daily basis. If we're not having conversations, we will not get appointments. I'm going to keep saying that obviously throughout this video, because a lot of agents get distracted by so many other things, like trying to do social media posts and all this different stuff. That's not getting you deals. We both know it's not. It's very, very rare you're getting, especially seller listings, from anything you do on social media. It doesn't really happen. So it makes sense to be trying to have conversations to get appointments. And then from the evening, again, just do a quick prep for tomorrow. So that way the next day when you wake up 6 a.m., 7 a.m., you had a bad day the previous day, it's not going to affect you today. You done a little bit of prep. You basically, it's kind of like if you wake up in the morning, for example, and you hate coming home to a messed up bed. If you just spend 5 minutes in the morning making your bed, it makes your evening time a lot easier. Same thing for the reverse of that situation. If you spend some time in the evening the night before prepping for tomorrow, when you wake up kind of in a rush, not feeling the best, everything's laid out for you, you're good to go. So again, just trying to be at a very, very good spot, because consistency isn't a very nice looking kind of thing, but basically $20,000 a month is going to require you to be consistent. You have to be consistent if you want to get there, because most agents are literally stuck in the wrong game. They're focusing on social media likes instead of actually getting listings, because it boosts their dopamine, boosts their ego, getting a bunch of likes, putting top producer in their bio when they know they haven't gotten a listing in 4 months. I love to do that type of stuff. I'm trying to call you guys out here. And they're told to essentially nurture when they don't even have a pipeline. They have no pipeline at all. They haven't even gotten any leads and filtered through them or anything, or even had initial contacts. They're just trying to basically just cheat the entire system and find a quick workaround. And they follow influencers, not actually operators, not coaches. That's another problem. They're just selling you a dream. They're selling you a crazy lifestyle that you'll never go to achieve, because they don't actually have a good practical system for you to implement. Super simple. Because here's the truth, is you don't need more content or anything of that nature. You just need more conversations with sellers. To get more conversations with sellers, guarantee you'll get some more listings. Very simple. And again, so this is what I actually want to do, is I want to set some expectations for the first 30 to 90 days, or basically first 30 to 60 days of this. A lot of people that go through here watch these types of videos on YouTube, again, whether from me or somebody else, and then have a crazy expectation in their mind. I like to clear the expectation around the game. So basically your first 2 weeks is hundreds of dials and mostly rejection, especially if you've never done it before. You're not that seasoned of an agent with your messaging. By messaging, I just mean how you're talking, when you talk to prospects. If they give you objections, how do you handle them? How do you move conversations forward? How do you not sound salesy? All that type of stuff. So if you're really not good at that, you're going to have a lot of rejection in the first 2 weeks. But the good thing is if you move past that, by week 3, you're going to have your first conversations that really go deep. You're going to actually build really good rapport with prospects, start having those really good conversations. By week 4, you'll have your first listing appointment booked. And again, I'm exaggerating these timelines, by the way. You should be way, way sooner than this getting appointments. I'm just trying to, again, set very realistic expectations. If you just half-ass this, even if you just half-ass this entire blueprint, you'll get some more deals. Even just one extra listing a month will change a lot of you guys' lives right now. And from that, by month, basically 2 at that point, 1 to 2 listings should be signed in contract. And that's when you start building momentum. Because every time, especially if you're a existing real estate agent, if you're a newer agent, you kind of have experiences yet. But if you're an existing agent and you've gone through a period where you haven't gotten a listing for a while, whatever it is, and all of a sudden you get like a really banger of a listing, it was phenomenal, you had a great conversation, signed the appointment, set up the contract, everyone's good to go, sold super quick, that boost it gives you and that momentum it gives you behind you is phenomenal. So once you get this momentum right here, you want to carry it on. So don't stop doing what we showed you up here and going through and obviously filtering through your leads and booking in appointments and conversations and compressing and following up your pipeline. If you stop doing that, you're going to stop getting deals. So the number one thing is that whenever you get momentum built, you need to carry that momentum forward and continuously do the actions that got you there in the first place. Because most agents are literally going to quit on week 2. Guaranteed. Majority of you watching this right now, like most people just watch YouTube videos and try to get some motivation and feel like they're going to actually implement stuff. They do it for a day or 2 days or 3 days and they stop, right? That's literally most people in the world when it comes to anything, even just real estate. So from that, most of you are going to quit in 2 weeks, but that's exactly when the real opportunity starts. And that's why most agents will never reach it. So if you can get past literally week 2, just make it to week 3, you'll get some more deals.